We're out here today in Yardley, PA, which is in Bucks County, at the Tavern of Jesse Palmer. As you can see, it was built in 1765, ultimately converted over to a home, and now it's being converted back into office space. Our role here was we were called out to take a look at the high-velocity system to see what kind of condition it was and if we made any recommendations. And what we found was a classic example of somebody installing a high-velocity system improperly. There wasn't enough hits, there wasn't enough return, the trunk was the wrong size, and the system was in there for 17 years, and the previous owners had to deal with that. Most likely it was short cycling, wasn't dehumidifying correctly, and as a result, they're probably thinking, whoa, this high velocity system isn't all that great. So we talked to the owners, the new owners, and we made some suggestions. We're gonna retrofit the system. We're gonna put the proper size system in. We're gonna put the proper size trunk. That's the trunk that's it was 7-inch. Now we're gonna put in 9-inch. And we're gonna add 10 outlets. And this system will work so much better. It's gonna be quieter, especially with their office spaces there, and dehumidification is so important. When you're dealing with an old stone home like this, they stay cool for a while and they keep the humidity out, they're great. But once you have an extended period of heat and humidity and that house flips, it's hard to get that humidity out. It's all about that humidity control, and you need a longer run time. And with that thing not having enough outlets or returns, it had to be short cycling and not pulling that humidity out. And with this, it's going to work so much better. So come and join us in the house. So as part of our retrofit of this system, we're adding outlets to each room. As we talked about, there was a 3-ton, 36,000 BTU system, and we want at least 7 outlets per ton, so there should be 21 at least. Sometimes we'll add more to keep them quiet. This system only had 11, so we got a lot of work to do. In a room like this, as an office space with lighting and people in here, we feel there should be 3 to 4. There was only 2 outlets in here. For residents, it should have been 3. For an office, at least 4. We're in the front room, and you can see we have 4 windows, a lot of sun coming in. This only had 2 outlets in this room. Again, as a residence, at least 3 here would be good. But as an office, we added 2 additional. We wanted to go 4, we wanted to go a little heavy, rather go a little over and have to cut it back than not have enough. We're on the 3rd floor, obviously the hottest area of the home. Hot air rises, cold air falls naturally. But in this space, again, real simple rule of thumb for people to follow with high velocity air conditioning provided by the manufacturer is, everything being equal, they want 1 outlet per 100 square feet. But then you add to the natural environment where you got windows, you're up on the 3rd floor, you got the roof line here, you got a lot of exposure, and you're gonna have 2 to 3 people working up here. So you put all those together, you need enough outlets to cool this down. And again, if you cool this space, the cold air is going to fall. So this is really important. And they only had 2 outlets here. So if this was a bedroom even in the past, and you had 1 or 2 people here, they did not have enough outlets. They had 2 in this space and they had 1 in the bathroom. We're going to add at least 2 or 3 more in this space. We want to make sure that this is comfortable. We take care of the 3rd floor, the rest of the space will work pretty well. So right here, you'll see that this is one of the outlets that we're adding in the room below. And a key feature of this is all sound attenuator. This whole tube is sound attenuator. We don't cut them off and do the 3-foot on the end. We use the whole length. And if you look at the existing tubes, these are aluminum core extension tubes. They're good for the rigid to hold up over a period of time, but they do not reduce the sound. And it's manufacturer recommendation. You can do this and then have the sound attenuator. See, it's combined here. This is the sound attenuator, the last 3 feet. We find that using the whole length, the whole 12 foot, it's much quieter. And it's only slightly more expensive. And this unit we're lifting up, this is right on these floorboards. They want to use this as a meeting room, so they're trying to get as much space. So we're going to lift this up and add the 9-inch round trunk to get better airflow. Again, the biggest project is, people will ask, well, why is somebody quoting one price and why is another company quoting so much less? And it's usually because they're not proficient at high velocity. They think they know high velocity and they lower the quote to get the job, and then realize, oh my God, I can't afford to put all this stuff in. So they take shortcuts, and skipping 10 outlets, putting a smaller trunk in, as you can see, the bubble wrap insulation, that all adds up to thousands and thousands of dollars less. So I caution anyone who is getting quotes on high velocity that if a system, one contractor comes in and quotes far less than the other contractors, there's a reason. If you take shortcuts, you put in less tubes, you put in a smaller trunk, you put a smaller system in, you don't use the right insulation, you don't put the outlets at the right spot. You see an outlet that was down there on the 3rd floor was right in the walking path. So anyone walks back and forth and it's a low ceiling is going to feel it. So we go to great lengths to put the outlets where they should be aesthetically so it doesn't draw your eye to it, and also functionality wise where it's not blowing on you directly or blowing on blinds or blowing on a piece of furniture. If you have an outlet here and you got a high piece of furniture and it's hitting that could cause noise. And we don't want any noise from this system. And when they're done properly, there is no system more comfortable than a high velocity because of its dehumidification, because of its air mixture. You're not getting hot and cold spots, and it's quiet. So what's cool too, when we're in these historic properties, we always find little treasures. And this here, you can see the Roman numerals where they marked it. So when they milled these pieces specifically for this building, and at one point there was no mills over here in Bucks County and in the New Americas, so they had to mill them over in England, and they brought them here and they had the numbers to make sure they knew exactly where they went. Like you see this up here and then these marks here, you see it coming through. There was no nails. Great craftsmanship. When you do a house like this, and this was done 17 years ago, and these people spent a lot of money for it, probably not as much as it should have been because it was less outlets and less material, but they spent a good amount of money and they didn't get what they should have. And they had to live with the inadequacy of the system for 17 years. And these systems should last 20, 25 years. Why not get it done right? Why not enjoy the comfort, the full potential of the system by getting it done right, getting it done by a professional high velocity company, as we are, we're a Unico premier dealer, and that matters. And taking shortcuts on a beautiful house like this, or your house, just doesn't make sense if it's not gonna work correctly. And the people didn't get what they were expecting. They got a high velocity system, but they didn't get a high velocity system because it wasn't installed to its full potential.